Welcome back, everyone. I'm so glad that you're here for today's episode. We are joined today by Michelle Waitzman, who is the author of this book that I just came across. I saw her listing on Facebook and I said, I need to talk to this woman. Michelle, I'm so excited that you're here. Your book, tell us about yourself. I'm not even going to tell anybody about who you are and what you're all about. I want you to give them a little bit about what what I know has inspired me. Tell us all about you and give my listeners an understanding as to what the magic that you bring in today.
Oh, thank you. Uh, First of all, thank you for having me. Really great to be here. I am a nonfiction author. I'm a writer. I'm a plain language consultant. Um, and I'm a dog mom. And it's a fairly, important role in my life, being a dog mom, as it is to, I think, most people who have dogs in their life. And I think, like anyone who's ever lived with a dog, I marvel at how they are so easily made happy, right? The tiniest little thing, you know, time to eat, they're happy. Time to go for a walk, they're happy. You came home from somewhere, they're happy. They don't care if you were just gone 5 minutes. And I started to think about what we can take from that.
Right.
Why don't we get happy that easily? And maybe we can. So I started delving into dog behavior and also delving into human psychology, um, and found a way to marry the two. And that's what my book is. My book's called Be As Happy as Your Dog. The subtitle is 16 Dog Tested Ways to Be Happier
I
Using
love it.
Positive Psychology, and that's PAW, positive. Um, and it's just a really simple, fun way to add more happiness to your life that anybody who's ever had a dog will really connect with.
I'm sorry for all of my listeners out there who are cat people, but as many of you already know, I'm a mom to 3 dogs. And even one of my dogs is our therapy dog who sits in on all of the sessions that I have and kind of keeps quiet in the background and can know when my sessions begin and end. And I think it's so important for that idea. It's so simple and so um, just easy to follow, that idea of, just being genuinely happy, genuinely excited about things in such a small but powerful way. Tell me, what was it that inspired you to write the book?
So I started thinking about, what is it that my dogs do that keeps them happy? And it's these little things, they wag their tails, they enjoy every treat they get. They trust their sniff test when they meet a new person or a new dog. They don't sit and debate whether, is this a, should I, give them the benefit of the doubt? Maybe they're okay. I don't know. I don't want to judge them. Like they just trust what their nose tells them. If they smell something interesting, they dig. They
Hmm.
find out more about it. They go for walks every day. And all of these little things that they do keep them happy. Um, and I started looking at ways we could adopt those things. We can wag our tails. We can trust our sniff test. We can go for a walk every day. And we can keep playing. Dogs don't stop playing when they stop being puppies, but we kind of often do or feel like we should stop playing once we're grown up.
Okay.
It's considered a waste of time, but it's not a waste of time. It's really, really important to our well-being.
Not at all.
Dogs know
Yeah.
that. They
Hmm.
didn't have to be told that it's
Not at
still good to
all.
play.
Yeah. What kinds of rules, or not rules, but what kinds of activities have you been able to kind of mirror as examples that we can use from just behaviors that you see that dogs just show that they get genuine pleasure out of,
Sure.
um, that you might be able to
So
share?
one of the ones that I look at is enjoying treats. And a lot of women in particular have a problem with this. We think we have to do something really specific or we haven't earned our treat,
I
right?
love that. Yeah.
Or we feel guilty about our treats. Or, we feel like we can't have a treat until something specific happens. And dogs will just, they don't question it. If something good comes their way, they take it. And part of it is that I think we misrepresent what a treat is.
Hmm.
And a treat is really anything that gives you pleasure that is out of the ordinary, that you don't have all the time. So it doesn't have to be chocolate cake, right? A treat could be going for a manicure.
Yeah.
A treat could be, spending the evening snuggled up on the couch watching a movie. A treat is anything that's going to make you that little bit happier. And I think when you stop associating treats with guilt and badness
Yeah.
and not doing what you're supposed to, then you start to embrace them and you actually benefit from them mentally. So that's one. Another one that, again, especially women have trouble with is accepting praise.
Hmm.
You tell your dog they're a good dog. They don't go, oh no, that was
Yeah, no,
nothing.
they're just
I'm
like,
not that
"Yes, I
good.
am."
They're
Right.
like, yeah, I'm a good, yay. Somebody thought I did something good. So, we have a real mental block, a lot of people, with accepting praise. We feel like we should be humble. We should put ourselves down. And it becomes almost a reflex. Somebody says, oh, you look really nice today. And you say, oh, no, no, my hair looks awful or whatever. Um, and I think we need to train ourselves to not do that,
Hmm.
to actually accept that somebody thought it was worth praising us, whether it was about our appearance or, something we said in a meeting or, what we cooked for dinner or whatever we did. If somebody's noticed and thought this is worth telling them, then you did something good and you should be
Right.
proud of it.
Right. I've often brought up the idea to people of just like, if you can't say anything at all, just say thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know that we do that enough. Where did we get away from that? Especially, you mentioned women, and I totally agree with you. Where did we get away from that?
I think, and I don't know when it would have started. I don't know if there was a beginning to it, but I think women are brought up to be humble, to not brag, to not make themselves noticed. Just do your thing and don't expect thanks.
Mm,
And yeah, because men don't have this, certainly in a professional setting, men don't have this problem as much. Somebody says, hey, that was a great idea. They say, thanks.
right.
And,
Right.
they're happy to take the credit for it. And, if a woman says something, somebody goes, hey, that was a great idea. She might say something like, oh, yeah, it was just a little thing that I was thinking about, and immediately downplay it.
Yeah, and you don't see that
Immediately
divide
downplay it.
in the dogs, if there's a female
No.
or a male dog, it doesn't matter. They're all, they're looking for the same praise, they're
Yeah.
responding the same way. So it's kind of funny how we can learn from them exactly how to respond.
Hmm. So those are a couple of ways that, we can mirror their behavior and let go of some of the stuff that kind of holds us back from being happy.
When did what kinds of responses have you received from people who have read your book or who were involved with the creation of this process of your book? Have they just marveled at it because I mean, we were talking a little before we started recording, and I was just telling you how I was not floored so much, but just like, yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, give me a simpler
Mm,
self-help book compared to the tons and tons and tons of books that are out there that make things just too complex. And I really
right.
appreciated it for that, other people who've had the ability to read your book.
I have had a number of people, either in reviews or personally commenting to me say, this was so easy. This was so little pressure. Sometimes when I read a self-help book, I feel really like I have to change my whole life around to make it work.
Yes,
And I
yes.
intentionally, with this book, made sure that wasn't the case.
Right.
In fact, there's no program to follow, right? There's no order you have to do anything in, and you don't have to do everything.
Mhm.
You can pick and choose what works for your life and what connects with you, and, let the rest go. You don't have to do anything that doesn't sound like fun. That's the whole
Right.
point of being happy. If
Right.
it's not fun, it's not going to make you happy.
Right. Okay. And, I think that your book suggests like there's, of course, that simplistic joy and contentment that's just, there's no effort that needs to happen for dogs. Dogs just
Mhm.
do it naturally. What are some of the practical steps that you suggest that people can take to achieve that similar state?
Well, I mean, this isn't news to anyone, but just paying attention to what's happening in the moment. That whole piece about mindfulness that people keep hearing about, right? So, dogs, if they're out for a walk or whatever, they're not thinking about what they have to do for the rest of the day. They're not thinking about, their bed at home. They're thinking about what's happening on the walk and they're enjoying it and they're
Yeah.
smelling things and they're looking at things. Whereas, if you ask most people what they're thinking about while they walk their dog, the last thing they're thinking about is the walk. They're thinking about what they have to do for work today. They're thinking about what
Right.
they're going to wear. They're thinking about, paying some bills. And so we project forwards and backwards. We also ruminate over things, right? They're replaying an argument they had last night in their head while they're walking their dog,
Yeah.
or last week, or last year, you know? So dogs focus on the moment, on what's in front of them,
Right.
um, and we ignore it. Some estimates say 50% of our time, we're not thinking about what's happening now. We're thinking about the future or the past. And so we miss stuff, and we miss stuff that'll make us happy. I make a point, I walk my dogs early in the morning. And, at the right time of year, the sun's coming up.
Right.
And if I get a chance to see the sunrise, that I make a point of stopping and looking and being awed by it and letting it make me happy.
Hmm.
Sometimes I take a picture.
Sometimes. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think people always understand that. Like, I know when you think about getting up early to have to take your dog out or take them on a walk and what have you, it's it almost seems like a hassle, but it's
Hmm.
I love the idea of waking up in the morning and they're the first beings I see. Even though I love my
Mm.
kids, but they are so happy
Yeah.
they're like, "Hi." It's like I haven't seen you in a zillion years, "Good
Yeah.
morning. Now I need something from you. Can we get that taken care of? And thanks for that." And they're just so in the moment. And I think that that's what you're speaking of,
Hmm.
really staying present to the
Yes.
now, because we do get so significantly caught up in, well, what's going to happen tomorrow, or what did I do before? And you lose something in that. I think it
Yeah, for sure.
also I mean, I wonder, do you think it also has to do with their lifespan? You know, they really
Yeah.
don't have much time with us while they're here. And while they do, it's kind of like, listen, I got things to do because we don't know how long I've got on this earth. So let me just
Yeah.
enjoy what's happening right now.
I mean, for sure, some of it is that. And I think some of it is just their brains are wired differently.
Yeah,
You know, they just don't hold on to memories the same way we do.
right.
And they don't project forward like we do. One of the things I talk about in the book is serendipity.
Hmm.
And people sort of think of serendipity as like, oh, it's a happy coincidence. Something good happened by accident, right? But if you go back into the history of the word, it's actually based on an old folk tale. And what serendipity is when when the result of something is better than what you were looking for.
Hmm.
And it comes about by good fortune and awareness. So people get the good fortune part, something good happened that I wasn't expecting and I was lucky, but they
Right.
forget the awareness part. So we get hung up on our plans. We have a plan, we're going to execute that plan, it's going to get us to this goal. But sometimes, if we're aware, we see something new that's better than our plan. And in order for that to come true, you have to go, okay, here's a new thing. And maybe it's an opportunity. And maybe it's better than what I was planning in the first place.
Yeah.
Or maybe your plan fails. But when your plan fails, something else kind of appears.
Hmm.
And I think if we can embrace the awareness to let serendipity happen, and that again is being aware in the moment,
Right.
um, there are opportunities for happiness that slip by if you're too focused on your goals.
I think you're absolutely right. And, you know, even though we set them and we should be very intentional about that. We don't have control completely over what actually happens.
No.
So just being able to say, like, let me stay here so that I can kind of navigate certain things that I can control, but also enjoy the process along the way.
Yes.
I think is what you're talking about.
And be
And you're
willing to
absolutely
shift
right.
that process.
Yes.
If it's not working, and this is, part of the ease of using this book, right? If something's not working for you, move on. Move on. If your goal isn't serving you anymore, if you thought that running a marathon was going to make you happy, and, you've been training for the marathon, you keep getting injured and you keep getting frustrated and you don't feel good, well, maybe that's not the right goal. you know, Maybe there's a
Mhm.
new goal that came out of that.
Right.
Maybe, you know,
No, I mean, absolutely. I think it's important for us to recognize that sometimes the journey itself helps
mhm,
guide us as to what's in the next pages of that chapter. Doesn't necessarily write
you
the
know,
book.
maybe you thought you needed to go to medical school and become a doctor, but halfway through you realize what you really want to be is a medical illustrator,
Right. I
right?
love that. I
You
love that.
know,
And that's so important to hear out loud because I think what people need to hear is that it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
no.
It can be focusing in on how you're getting there and focusing in on like whether you're struggling and suffering while you're doing that or if
Mm,
you're actually enjoying what's happening along the way. I
yeah.
know you mentioned that you had adopted um, came in with a lot of different medical issues
Oh,
that you
yeah.
had to deal with. And I know I sometimes that's what happens when you rescue dogs. You know, they have a whole slew of, you know, here's the treatment plan, and you're like, okay, we've got a ways to go. But if you don't enjoy what's happening along the way and getting close to that dog
Yeah.
and enjoying the love and support that you get from that dog and that you can give to that dog, then you've missed the point of it. And someone
Yes.
might say, oh my gosh, you did such a great thing. You took care of this dog. You nursed it back to health. Yeah, it's not the end goal. It's really what happened, that bond that you
Yeah.
created in
And
between.
also, from her point of view, so this dog has been through everything. Like everything, like she was abandoned and, she was underweight and blah, blah, blah. And then, she needed to have a kidney removed because she had a parasite and blah, like knee surgery, you name it. And you'd think, oh, this poor dog, this poor little dog. But she doesn't care. She
Right.
is super happy. And this is part of the inspiration for the book. Like, how do you go through all that and be happy? But she
Right.
does. She does. Everything that happens to her, she's like, well, it sucks for a few days because I had surgery and it hurts. But once she's healed up, she's like, yeah, happy.
Yeah. And
Let's go.
I think we need more of that because we've been through a time in the last 4 years where everybody was sharing a similar story.
Mm.
And we are coming out of that slowly in our own ways. And some people are still in their process of healing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're, taking turns into familiar waters. And we have choices now. Like, are we going to struggle and suffer and continue to be in angst? Or are we actually going to start looking to be in better spaces, in better head places,
Yeah.
having more mindfulness and mindsets?
Yeah. And, it's been a struggle for people. And it's a matter of whether you're able to leave it behind.
Yeah.
To leave, instead of going, oh, poor me, look at everything I went through, to say, okay, that's done. Where do I want to go now?
Yeah.
Where do I want to
No.
go? Because,
Mm-hmm.
Sitting and worrying about everything that happened to you during the before times, um, is not going to make you happier.
Yeah.
It's not going to give you a better life. You can only go forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For those who are listening, what is one message you hope that they can take away from your book?
I think the message is that your happiness is something that's within your control. It's not decided by whether you have a good job or whether you're the right weight or whether, you have met the love of your life. It's decided by you and the things you do every day.
That makes a lot of sense. It's in our control to an extent, right?
Yeah, to a large extent.
Yeah.
The research has shown, okay, you have sort of a baseline happiness level, and 50% of that is genetic. There's nothing you
Right.
can do about that. And 10% of that is your life circumstances. So your job, your home, your wealth. Only 10%. People think that's what's going to make them happy. No, 40% is determined by your actions and your attitude.
Yep.
So that 40% is totally within your control.
It's amazing that people think that it's the reverse, that it would be
Mm-hmm.
more so 40% is based on what you have and who you're around, as
Nope.
opposed to, that it's only 10% of what I can do to make myself happy, when
Yeah.
it's completely, it's
It's
not,
completely, yeah, it's the balance goes the other way. So, yeah, people think, oh, if I just won the lottery, I'd be happy, right? I'd have all this money, I could do what I want. But then, when they follow up on lottery winners, they were briefly happy about it. They went back to their baseline.
right.
They got used to it. We get used to things that seem like they're going to be miraculous cures for everything that ails us. But we just sort of adapt to them and go, okay, well, it's normal now.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's incredible. And I would imagine that, you, just as I would, let everyone know that they should have a dog.
Well, yes. I mean, if you can.
if
if
you
you're
can't.
prepared for well, a lot of
At
people
least
thought they
once.
wanted a dog during the pandemic. And then, when they went back to work or, their family or whatever, now the shelters are full of unwanted dogs. So please don't get a dog unless you're going to commit to the whole
It is a full
lifetime of the
commitment,
dog.
yes.
But they will give you so much in return if you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where can people find your book? Where can they reach out to you if they have questions or they want
Sure.
to kind of just get some more information?
So the book is available at all the major online booksellers. So Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, all those kinds of places. Um, I'm also on Facebook, Be As Happy As Your Dog, and Instagram, Be As Happy As Your Dog. And if you wanted to reach out to me directly, you can find me at contact@beashappyasyourdog.com.
And I will be putting links for all of these in the description of the episode so that everyone can get in contact with you if they want to from there. I just want to take a minute just to say thank you so much, Michelle, for being here and just sharing this information with us. I think this is something that everyone needs to read because it is such a great way of kicking off things if you're looking to change the mindset and get on a happiness journey. Start here. Just thank you so much for being here and for sharing your information. And I hope that our listeners enjoyed today's episode. We're bringing it this year a little bit differently, but we're loving all that we're getting from our guests. And I hope that you had a great time sharing with us here as well.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
All right, that will do it for today's episode, and we'll see you next time, guys.